We've got 1, 2, 3. We need a fourth. Tim joined, but then he's not. Oh, there he is. Hey, Tim and Holland, how are you guys?
Good, how are you?
You can hear us okay?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Hey, Holland, are you okay? Should we seat you or you just want to be a viewer?
Either one's fine.
Okay, we don't have, yeah, if you're good, then I will, but. Okay, so let's call the meeting to order. It is 7:01 PM. Call up the agenda. All right, so first is a roll call. So we'll start with me, Christina Davis. I'm present. Judy Austin. Present. Keith Lipker.
Present.
Pam Summers is not present. Angie DeSanto is not present. And Paul Varga is not present. And then for alternates, have Tim Rhodes
Present.
and Colin Love.
Present.
Right, and Hugh McKenzie is not present. So Tim, I will seat you for Angie, and Holland, I'll seat you for Pam.
All right.
All right. Communications, one, we got a report from the first selectwoman, which I will share when we get to that item on the agenda. I also exchanged emails with our assessor, Lynn Biber, about the reval that is gonna be taking place, that's gonna impact next year's budget, meaning the 26-27 budget. So I asked her if she could join one of our meetings to talk about the timeline and how all that works, because it's really confusing, you know, it's like the letters, I think all of us have hopefully gotten letters about the reval, so they start doing that process, but it's based on the values in the, like as of October 1, and then you get notified next year what the new value is, and then that, so she'll explain all that. But it's a little confusing, so I thought it'd be good if she could run through it with everybody. So we can understand how that's gonna impact the next budget conversation, and we can look at how it impacted the last time we had a reval, which is 2021, and look at the other towns around us that have had more recent revals. So she'll be coming to a meeting on June. Hold on. June 26th. Okay. That's it for communications. For approval of minutes, we have the regular meeting minutes from the April 24th meeting. Would anybody be willing to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve those minutes.
All right, a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Seconded. Okay, any discussion, any edits? Let's see, was everybody there for that one? Tim was there, was there, Judy was there. So it looks like we can all vote on it. Oh, except for Holland. I don't see, were you at that meeting, Holland? The last one? Doesn't
I
look
don't
like.
think so.
Yeah, okay, so you have to abstain, so. Any edits to this? Didn't sound like it. Okay, all those in favor of approving the April 24th minutes, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions?
Abstain.
Thank you. Public comments? Let's see, did anybody pop in here? No. No public comments. So the next item is under new business, select women's updates. Which I can give quickly. We have, she said, the Ashford School roof replacement project, the skylight has been installed and a roof walkthrough was conducted May 2nd with the architect, general contractor, Ashford building official, and fire marshal. There are a couple of punch list items remaining that should be completed next week. And then the Ashford School roof solar projects, the RFP to solicit bids for a provider for the school roof solar photovoltaic system will be posted on the state website on May 9th. Included in the RFP is the town's proposed paid purchase agreement. The RFP PPA was reviewed and approved by town council, Kerma, which is the town's insurance carrier, the Ashford School Building Committee, and the Board of Selectmen. So that's that. So the next item is discussion of the budget referendum results. So really quickly, I can share the numbers that we've all heard, but I'll say it again for the record and the recording. The referendum was held on Tuesday, May 6th. The town budget was approved in a vote 316 to 205. Region 19 was approved 285 to 236. And the Ashford school budget was approved 300 to 221. And the total number of votes, I believe, was 521. And then the Region 19 budget, we're looking at all the towns. So it passed 898 to 862. Mansfield was 223 to 38, so 38 no. Wellington, it failed in Wellington, 390 to 588. And Ashford again approved it 285 to 236. So Region 19 passed, but I would say very narrowly. And there was an article in the Chronicle today about the Region 19 budget, and the superintendent said this was the most difficult budget year she's seen in her tenure there. So our budget passed. I'm just curious what folks have to say about it. Any thoughts? I have some thoughts.
Right. No, I was glad that it passed because I just, was thinking if it didn't, then it's gonna fall to us to make additional cuts and, where are you gonna cut? I think everything got down to pretty much the bare bones that, you might find something here or there, but it's not, it wouldn't really make a dent in what people might want.
I'm not happy or sad. I think, because there's so many unknowns with the state budget and everything, I think that, that you have to be seen what the real story is. And I think we're gonna go through the same thing next year, if not worse.
I would agree with that.
So I'm not jumping up and down about it. I mean, I'm proud of the work everybody did. I mean, we did the best we could with what we know. But it still makes me sad that some people just won't be able to afford it.
Any other comments? I'll just say that I was very disappointed. First of all, well, let me just say this. I wholeheartedly support everybody's right to be very opinionated on Facebook. What I find disappointing is that we had multiple meetings, you guys were all here. Stuff's on YouTube, it's on the internet, it's very available. And we, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall a single person coming to a meeting, either online or not, to say, my taxes are too high, you need to cut this budget. Nobody said that to us. And not a single person emails me, not a single email this entire budget cycle. So I understand where people are coming from when they say they're frustrated with taxes being too high. And I totally support their right to have that opinion and to vote the way that they want to vote. I would just wish more people would participate in the process, because I can't justify personally cutting and cutting and cutting if no one can even get down here
Sure.
to ask for it? So that's my one speech.
That's why I was saying out of the town of, we have 3,168 people, only 511 voted.
Right.
It's so.
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
And it's not like any of this is a surprise. It happens every year, the exact same dates, like it moves one day, you know? It's like, there's no surprises here, and it's probably been going on for hundreds of years in this town, literally, like 250 years, basically.
My recommendation is don't take Facebook to fight.
No, I know, I don't.
Pay attention.
I don't, I do social media for a living, I understand, I totally get the dynamics of it. But
They gotta come out and fight, you gotta come out.
you gotta show up, that's
Yeah.
right. So I just encourage people to do that. And if you hear people complain, very nicely say, really wish you could come and say that at a meeting, because that's how you make an impact, not yelling at people.
And you shouldn't be engaging either if you are on Facebook. Just saying.
Well, I do just try to say the facts so that because people repeat things that are not even remotely correct. So you do need to at least state facts.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, so we don't even know the real facts yet of what the state's coming out with. So if you're going, if you're going back and forth, you're really not stating the facts if we don't know. And we don't know yet, so.
Well, you can say the governor's proposed budget had X. You don't say it's definitely gonna be X. We know that it could change, but.
Right.
All right, any other comments on budget referendum results? Okay, we can move on. So the next item is discussion and possible action to set the mill rate for 25-26. I was writing that before the referendum happened, so that's why it says possible action, because I wasn't sure, but we get to take action tonight. So I will share my screen and just go through how we derive the mill rate. And I think this is kind of perfunctory, the mill rate is based on the budget that was approved. So there's not like we have any discretion at this point. We are just approving what was put in front of voters. And this calculation was included in the public hearing packet and the town meeting packet. So it just includes the general government Ashford School Region 19 budgets for a total amount of $17,158,125. It includes the estimated town revenues and the estimated education cost sharing grant of $3.348 million, which again, that is where we could see some changes depending on what the final state budget is. But that's the best available number. Yes.
If there is a change on that, and say that they haven't changed any of the funding, and we get that this year, does that go into the general budget?
Say that
Is that
again.
where, so the estimate loss that was made up for what we assumed we might lose or whatever, is that from the general budget or is that from the school budget, or where is that? Where does that, where would that funding come back to?
So we're estimating the ECS grant at $3,348,554. Do you see that on the piece
Yeah.
of paper?
And that's
So
in the
that-
general?
Well, all revenues come into the general fund.
Okay,
So. And it offsets the education budget,
okay,
but we fold it all in when we calculate the mill rate. We don't separate out the budgets. So if that education cost sharing grant amount comes in higher because they finalize the state budget and they magically find more money, then that will come in and theoretically it will go into the unassigned fund balance.
Yeah.
But and I'm not sure honestly if it does that or if it goes to the non-lapsing fund. I don't know exactly how that money, does the money come in exclusively to the school, or does it come in to the town? I don't know the answer to that. That would be a Sherry Susie question.
Yeah, that was my question. Where's it?
But I will definitely, watch it and report back what the final number is so that we're aware of it. And obviously, if there's any kind of windfall, we can certainly watch that carefully, discuss that with the Board of Ed, how that money is handled. So I don't think it's gonna be substantially different. I don't. Just because of the uncertainty in the world today, I don't think they're gonna do anything too crazy. Okay, so that's our expenditures, and then we subtract out our revenues, estimated revenues, and we have to raise about $13 million from property taxes. And we can only, we have a motor vehicle mill rate cap of 32.46, so we can't adjust that at all. And so our real estate and personal property mill rate is 36.377. So I think we should break it into two motions, maybe. And maybe the first one will just do the motor vehicle mill rate. Would anybody be willing to make a motion to approve a motor vehicle mill rate of 32.46?
So moved.
Is that Tim?
I'll second.
Okay, so that was Tim and then Holland. Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. And the next one would be the mill rate on real estate and personal property of 36.377.
So I have a question.
Let's do a motion and a second, and then we can do a question. Would somebody be willing to make the motion?
I'll make it.
All right, Keith? And a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Ooh, I think that was Holland.
Yep.
Okay, discussion.
No, I just had a question as far as, do we do it as a total of a mill rate vote, or do we do it as the total for each category? Like the general budget, or da.
We're just doing the two mill rates, so we
Just
just
one.
approved the motor vehicle one. And then we're not approving the money per se that's on this document. We're just approving the mill rates that are at the bottom. I just included this and shared it because it shows you how we get to that mill rate. Just explain, like we approve these budget numbers. And that's how we get to these numbers for them. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, update on the 23-24 annual report. I don't really have an update. I'm just gonna leave that on the agenda though, so that I don't forget that we have to do it. In a couple weeks, I'm gonna check in with Sherry Susie and see
I have
what,
started.
what's that?
I've started mine.
Oh, you have, that's right, because you have to do it for
CBA,
ZBA, okay.
not that there's a whole lot to write about, because we don't have much business.
Right, was there
There's
was a,
something coming up next Wednesday, which is very interesting.
and I think, let's see, Board of Assessment Appeals, nobody appealed their assessment this year, like nobody. Anyway, so yes, so the annual reports, I will check in with Sherry Susie in a couple weeks and see how many she's received and give an update once I know more about that. And then, agenda items for the next meeting. Let me see when our next meeting is. I think I do have a conflict coming up, so I know there is one I'm gonna need to cancel. So today's May 8th. Our next meeting is May 22nd. But I might have a conflict that then. Yes, that is the night of the spring concert at the school, so I will definitely cancel that May 22nd meeting. And then we'll be in a 2 meeting a month schedule. With probably July and August, we'll probably just have 1 meeting. It'll be pretty light usually. I do want to bring the item that I brought to this board like last month about, you know, how do we look at ways to find I hesitate to use the word efficiencies because that's sort of kind of a negative connotation, but it is what it is. How do we find ways basically to save money so that we can do that work now and hopefully shave some money off of our budgets so that they're more palatable next year. And I think we have to start that work now and can't do it in March and vote on a budget in May. It's just, there's not enough time. So I know the first selectwoman asked that I bring that to the Board of Selectmen, and I didn't want to do it until this budget passed, because if it didn't, then that would have just changed, you know, the workload. So, so I will bring that. I'm gonna email the Board of Selectmen about that and see if I can get on their agenda and have a conversation about how we approach that. Whether it's Board of Finance led effort or Board of Selectmen, or what their thoughts are on it, so. So remarks for the good of the board. I just really appreciate everybody, their work through this budget process. I think it was, you know, I think everybody put a lot of hard work into getting the budgets to where they were. I totally understand that it's not necessarily something to celebrate because we all have to pay our taxes and that's difficult at times. But I do have a lot of respect for everybody involved in the process, that they did a really good job. So, and I appreciate all the people who came out and voted, because that's important. And with that, I will ask if anybody would like to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Keith, and a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
No.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good one.